If you're like me, you recognize that Captain Crunch is a food for any meal of the day. And you're probably also a toy collector, and you probably enjoy the toy hunt aspect of being a toy collector. You know, going from store to store, whether randomly or through a very cleverly disguised map, hitting every retailer in the area. Well, we all have our different ways of doing it, and yes, when I hit the toy aisle, the first thing I do is I look for the figures that I actively collect before I, start actually going through the aisles. Because, hey, every once in a while you hit a gold mine, and finding something out there in the wild and not having to order it online these days, that's kind of the best, I think, thrill of the hunt we can get nowadays. Now, after I've had my fill of what I'm looking for personally, I'll start looking professionally because that actually is what I do for a living, is I'm a consultant to the toy industry. And I take note of trends. I look at what's selling, what's on clearance, what's holding up pegs. These are really important factors to understand what's going on, especially when you're looking at new items that are entering and trying to get into the toy aisle. I mean, heck, Poppets are now in the action figure aisle, in fact. So space and peg space is the most important aspect of the toy industry, and getting that peg space and holding on to it. So I was at one of my local Targets this past week, and if you're watching this video in the second week of August 2022, you know that as of these weeks, this week and next, Target is doing its reset. And the great thing about a retailer like Target doing its reset is it means,
oh wow, new toy!
So honestly, I'd had a really good week this last week, and with the reset going on, I said, hey, I'm going to go down and I'm going to treat myself to something, because you know what? That's what life is, and if you can't, then you're just not living, man. And as we all know, as action figure collectors, the way we treat ourselves is to a figure we might not otherwise have bought. It wasn't sort of predetermined as part of a collection. So I walked up the aisles and did something I don't always do. I just looked at other things that I might not normally buy, not what I'm specifically hunting for. And one thing I happened to spy was this 6-inch figurine Dan, or Don, Cantina Band member. Now, I'm a big Star Wars collector. I do have a bunch of 6-inch Black Series figures, but it's not really where my love of Star Wars toys is. That's with 3 3/4 and specifically Classic Trilogy. And while I haven't had space to display all of my figures, I have some scenes set up around my office, and in particular, yeah, I have the modal nodes, and I will be getting the new 3 3/4 ones already on pre-order. But do I need a 6-inch one? And that's the thing. Again, while I do have a lot of 6-inch Black Series, they wind up in sort of my bins of everyday figures, things that aren't part of a display or on a shelf. They're just there if I want to sort of grab a figure for whatever project I'm working on. And, I also have them worked into dioramas throughout my office. In fact, you could probably go shelf by shelf, and since I really love the aspect of action figures being able to intermix when they're all at the same scale. That's, I think, what I love the most about the hobby. So, yeah, if there's a 6-inch display somewhere in my office, you're probably going to find a Black Series figure worked in somehow. And that's, again, why I love toy collecting, because it's the only thing that lets all IPs play together. You're never going to see, that movie, but your action figures can certainly play that out on your shelf. So, yeah, pretty much, pick any shelf, I'm sure. I'm zooming into a random one, but I'm sure there's a Black Series figure somewhere there. All right, find the Black Series figure. So let's get back to Target and my happy I'm going to treat myself visit. I also saw this Hammond series Triceratops. Now, I don't own any Hammond series items or Hammond collection, but I do own some of the Amber collection figures. I have Hammond himself and one or two others. Again, sort of scattered around my office. I don't have a collection of Jurassic Park 6-inch figures. And now that the 6-inch Amber collection is now just the 3 3/4 Hammond collection, I really wasn't interested in the figures, but I am looking at the dinosaurs. And my favorite dinosaur is the Triceratops. I know it's a Torosaurus, and everyone calls it a Triceratops because, that's what science literature calls it. All right, we're not going to get into that whole thing, but yeah, why have they never found a baby Torosaurus or an adult Triceratops? To the same species. All right, we're so off the point. My love for dinosaurs and toys is merging into one, but that's also why I was really interested in this, because here I was seeing one of my favorite dinosaurs on shelf in what should be a collector scale, and sticker shock, it was $20 compared to the $25 for Figrin D'An. Damn, the Cantina band member guy comes with 3 instruments. So yeah, looking and realizing, look, while 6-inch is not my thing for Star Wars, I get the occasional character, and I do love the Cantina band, but hey, the idea of getting, the same sort of level, the Hammond collection, the Amber collection, the Black series, Marvel Legends, they all kind of fall into that collector sphere, right? We have expectations that when you're buying something at this level, you're going to get, a certain quality. And a big part of that is because of price value and how that works at retail. Obviously, companies need to communicate to the customer what they're going to expect, and there has been a, call it, collector grade level of figure released at retail over the past few years. Different companies have different names for them for each series. I mean, G.I. Joe Classified and Marvel Legends and Black Series and et cetera, et cetera. Now, we've seen prices go up for everything, and I've mentioned how it's entirely because of essentially labor costs in China are rising huge. They're a little red line there. And, when you understand how graphs work, you know that it's going to continue until it doesn't, and right now it's still continuing. So with labor costs on the rise, that means we're now paying more for figures that a few years ago cost a lot less, but we're not really getting more. And there seems to be this expectation that we should be now getting more because they cost more, but it's only because they cost more to make. If they even gave us more, it's only going to drive the price up that much more. So here we are at the whole, fool me once and, don't fool me again kind of thing. As I mentioned, I don't own any of the dinosaurs from either the Amber collection or now the renamed Hammond collection. But I've, looked at a lot of them on shelf, and they're usually posed showing off the articulation, especially the jaws, if you will. I mean, here you have that Triceratops right next to another figure, the Ceratosaurus. I can't read my own video. That guy with the red and the big jaw. So knowing, price, cost, value, it's beaten into us when you're a brand manager in the toy industry. It's all you work for, is being able to ensure your package, your product is going to reflect the correct price value. And seeing that this was $20 versus $25 for Figrin the Cantina band member, I was like, hey, right there, price value, Triceratops wins. I'm going to treat myself to a Triceratops. So got it home and gave him out for a ride and found that, oh, the mouth doesn't open. That, you lose a lot with an animal action figure when you can't open the mouth. And every other one of those figures on shelf had open mouths. Now, really looking at where we are now, we are switching over even from the spring 2022 to fall 2022, which means $24.99 is now going to $27.99 as the standard for a 6-inch figure. So that means even the $25 I was going to pay for this guy last week, he'll maintain his price, but the brethren that follow afterwards in this line, we're going to be paying more for. And that sort of brings to the whole point that we're either raising cost or lowering quality to get to a lower price point, like having to take out the jaw articulation. That is the catch-22 of what's going on with the toy industry. Are they pricing themselves out of what people, and especially what collectors, will pay, or if they have to cost reduce the product to get it to a lower price, hence my $20 Torosaurus juvenile. Well, looking at what I collect personally, Marvel Legends, Spider-Man villains, I'm glad I have almost all of the villains out there because, looking at Amazon just announced this new pack and I'm going to need to pick this up. But wow, what I'm going to have to pay for this. I'm not excited about that. And waiting in particular for the Spot to come out, really do kind of wish he came out a few years ago because I was looking forward to buying a couple of him. And now at, maybe $30? Just hope he comes out soon. So, what do you think? Have we hit the catch-22 of the toy industry? How is the rise in price affecting your toy buying habits? Love to know. Leave them in the comments below and let's discuss. Thanks as always for sharing this video. It's the best way to support the channel. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks again.